Elvis played a crucial role in transforming American music into a universal language, breaking down barriers that could have persisted. His influence extended beyond the stage. He served in the U.S. Army, where his presence and popularity became a strategic asset. During a time of conflict, his enlistment provided a sense of normalcy and hope to a nation grappling with the realities of war. His music, characterized by its sultry rhythms and bold lyrics, resonated with soldiers and civilians alike, fostering a sense of unity and morale. Initially, his parents were critical of his provocative style, but after his military service, they recognized the depth of his impact. Elvis became a symbol of American culture, embodying the spirit of resilience and creativity. His ability to connect with diverse audiences made him an unexpected yet powerful tool in the cultural landscape of the time, demonstrating how music can serve as a weapon of influence and change. Elvis became a symbol of rebellion, a natural evolution given his musical genius rooted in a rebellious spirit. Growing up in a conservative era, he embraced a style that was often seen as unsavory. His musical journey was heavily influenced by the sultry sounds of African American artists, whose boldness and creativity resonated deeply with him. Icons like Turner, Craddock, and Thornton played a significant role in shaping his artistic expression. Their stage presence and the emotional depth of their lyrics captivated Elvis, igniting a passion that would define his career. The way these artists moved and performed was revolutionary, and it stirred something profound within him. Their music had the power to evoke strong feelings, even causing a religious man's heart to race with exasperation. This blend of influences allowed Elvis to break free from societal norms, paving the way for a new era in music that celebrated individuality and defiance. His ability to channel these inspirations into his own unique sound made him a trailblazer, forever changing the landscape of popular music. Elvis Presley challenged societal norms throughout his life, particularly in his youth. He often visited African American clubs, breaking racial barriers at a time when segregation was prevalent. His connection to the East Trigg Avenue Baptist Church was significant, as he was a regular visitor, drawing inspiration from the gospel music he heard there. This rebellion against the status quo was not just a phase. It became a defining characteristic of his entire life. One of the most notable moments of his defiance occurred during his appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show. As he performed, he began to thrust his hips in a provocative manner, which shocked the audience. The reaction was intense, with many in the studio expressing their outrage. The studio executives, horrified by what they perceived as blasphemy, quickly ordered the cameras to focus on him from the waist up, attempting to shield viewers from his suggestive movements. This incident highlighted the cultural clash of the time, and solidified Elvis's role as a rebellious figure in music history. His actions not only stirred controversy, but also paved the way for future artists to express themselves freely, regardless of societal expectations. They were certain that Elvis's gyrating hips would corrupt the innocent minds of the American youths. Elvis couldn't understand what the fuss was all about. These movements were what the artists who inspired him used to do, and they felt natural to him. When he returned from military service, he faced a barrage of questions from news people. He simply stated, "I'm gonna sing, and I'll let the shaking come naturally. If I had to stand still and sing, I'd be lost. I can't get any feeling that way." This promise to himself was a commitment to his art and his expression. Those sexy hips were not just a performance gimmick. They represented a deeper meaning for Elvis. They symbolized freedom, a break from the constraints of authority. He believed that his dance moves were a reflection of his spirit and the joy of music. Elvis's performances were not just about the songs. They were about the energy and emotion he brought to the stage. His movements resonated with audiences, capturing the essence of rock and roll. The controversy surrounding his style only fueled his passion, making him more determined to express himself fully. Elvis's dance moves became a hallmark of his identity, a celebration of individuality and liberation. They were a testament to the power of music to transcend boundaries and connect with people on a profound level. His hips swayed with a rhythm that was both captivating and liberating, embodying the very spirit of the era. The world watched in awe as he danced, and in doing so, he changed the landscape of popular music forever. Through his remarkable talent, Elvis Presley became a nexus between two worlds, significantly expanding the taste of the American audience in music. His ability to cover songs that may not have been as popular before allowed these tracks to reach new heights. Songs like Hound Dog, That's Alright Mama, Glad You're Mine, My Baby Left Me, All Shook Up, Don't Be Cruel, and Return to Sender became iconic largely because Elvis sang them. Many of these songs were originally written and performed by African American artists. For instance, Hound Dog was originally a hit for Big Mama Thornton, showcasing the deep roots of rhythm and blues in his music. Otis Blackwell, a talented songwriter, penned several of Elvis's hits, including All Shook Up, Don't Be Cruel, and Return to Sender. While these original artists had their own followings, Elvis's renditions brought their music to a broader audience, bridging cultural gaps and introducing a wider range of sounds to mainstream America. His covers not only honored the original creators, but also transformed the landscape of popular music, making it more inclusive and diverse. The impact of Elvis's musical covers continues to resonate, highlighting the importance of collaboration and appreciation across different musical traditions. There were many songs that Elvis Presley covered during his career, showcasing his admiration for the artists who inspired him. Notable among these were Fats Domino's Ain't That a Shame, Ray Charles's What I'd Say, and Roy Hamilton's Unchained Melody. Each of these songs found success on the charts, allowing a wider audience to appreciate the brilliance of the African American artists behind them. However, this success did not come without controversy. Critics often labeled Elvis as a thief and an appropriator, arguing that he took credit for music that originated from the African American community. Despite these accusations, Elvis remained undeterred. He continued to perform and record the music he loved, finding joy and freedom in singing the songs of his idols. His passion for music transcended the criticisms, and he focused on his craft, contributing to the rich tapestry of American music, while also shining a light on the artists who had influenced him. However, too much freedom can lead to anarchy, or in Elvis's case, the finality of death. Elvis was a rebel, a figure who embodied the spirit of defiance and individuality. Yet, even rebels must recognize that there are lines that should not be crossed, or at least not crossed excessively. Stardom often tempts individuals with the forbidden taste of excessiveness, and Elvis was no exception. While he did not smoke, and was not a heavy drinker, he had a different vice. During his time in the army, he notably avoided the renowned German beer, but he developed a troubling affinity for pills. His service with the 3rd Armored Division in Germany significantly increased his use of amphetamines. Elvis justified this habit by claiming that these drugs provided him with energy and helped him manage his weight. This was not a new behavior. He had been using amphetamines even before his military service. The habit was one he picked up from his beloved mother, who had her own struggles. The allure of quick energy and the pressure of fame led him down a path that would ultimately contribute to his tragic end. The combination of his lifestyle and drug use created a dangerous cycle that he could not escape. The very freedom that made him a star also led him to choices that would haunt him. Ironically, the danger that would contribute to Elvis's short life began with his mother. She used appetite-suppressant dexedrine for weight loss. Lamar Fike, who was Elvis's bodyguard, reported that Elvis got his first uppers from what he stole from his mother. As a young boy, Elvis would see the drug lying around the house and thought if his mama could take it, so could he. This early exposure to drugs created a buzz that he found appealing. The feeling he experienced from the drugs sparked a hunger for more. It was a way for him to escape and cope with the pressures he faced, especially during his time in the army. The truth he wasn't admitting to himself was that these substances helped him manage the stress and expectations that came with his rising fame. This early drug use set a troubling pattern in his life, intertwining with his career and personal struggles. The impact of these choices would resonate throughout his life, shaping his experiences and ultimately contributing to his tragic end. He used his wealth to acquire pet pills, at least according to those who were close to him during his time in Germany. Presley would often bribe an army pharmacist, convincing his friends that these pills would help them stay alert and combat fatigue. Many of his friends joined him in using these substances, and they assisted him in maintaining a steady supply. Rex Mansfield openly admitted to being one of the beneficiaries of these amphetamines, which were commonly referred to as uppers or pet pills. After his time in the army, Presley sought to explore and experiment with drugs that would provide him with a more intense experience. This curiosity led him to opiates, tranquilizers, and barbiturates. His drug habit became so severe that by 1970, about a decade after leaving the army, he received an unexpected invitation to visit President Nixon. The impact of his drug use was profound, affecting not only his health, but also his relationships and career. During a notable visit, Elvis Presley received an honorary badge from the Drug Enforcement Administration, a gesture that seemed both prestigious and ironic. At that moment, Presley was under the influence of drugs, highlighting the stark contrast between the honor bestowed upon him and the struggles he faced. This duality in his life was a reflection of his ongoing battle with substance abuse, a problem that would persist until it ultimately led to his untimely death. The irony of receiving such an honor while grappling with addiction is striking. In the end, the toll of his lifestyle became too much for his heart to bear, leading to its failure and extinguishing the vibrant light that was Elvis. Despite his tragic end, the legacy of his music and persona continues to resonate with fans around the world. His influence remains strong, ensuring that the legend of Elvis Presley will endure long after his passing. On January 8, 1953, Elvis Presley, like many young American men of his age, fulfilled his patriotic duty by registering for the Selective Service System. This was a significant moment as he had just turned 18. At that time, the Korean War was nearing its conclusion, and the nation was still in a state of readiness for military service. Elvis's status as a model student at L.C. Humes High School in Memphis played a crucial role in his life during this period. His academic achievements allowed him to secure a student deferment, which meant he could stay in the United States while the war was winding down. This deferment was a relief for him, as it kept him from being drafted during that initial call to service. However, as time passed, the situation changed. A few years later, the draft would come calling again, and Elvis would find himself facing the reality of military service. This moment in his life was not just a footnote in his biography. It was a pivotal point that would shape his future and influence his career in ways he could not yet imagine. The pressures of fame and the responsibilities of being a citizen intertwined, creating a unique chapter in the life of the king of rock and roll. On the 20th of December 1957, just a few days before Christmas, the Memphis Draft Board made a significant announcement that sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. Elvis Presley, the face of rock and roll, and a musical sensation, had been selected under the Selective Service System to serve in the military. This meant he was to embark on 2 years of active duty, followed by an additional 4 years in the reserves. The news was met with a mix of disbelief and concern from his fans and the music community. Many could not imagine a world without Elvis's unique sound, which had become a staple in their lives. His fans were particularly worried that this military service would halt his rising career, which had been marked by chart-topping hits and a growing fan base. In an effort to keep their beloved star from serving, some fans even went so far as to send letters to the Army, urging them to exempt Elvis from military duty. They wanted him to remain in the spotlight, continuing to produce the music that had captured their hearts. The idea of Elvis in uniform was hard for many to accept, as they feared it would change the landscape of rock and roll forever. The pressure on the Army was immense, as no one wanted to see the music that defined a generation come to a standstill. The announcement not only affected Elvis's career, but also highlighted the deep connection between artists and their fans during a time of great social change. The military draft was a reality that even the most rebellious figures of the era could not escape, and for Elvis, it marked a turning point in his life and career. At the suggestion of his manager, Elvis made a bold decision that surprised many of his fans. He chose to join the military, but he did so as a regular soldier, rejecting special treatment. This choice was significant, as sections of the military had lobbied for his membership. The Navy was particularly eager, offering him his own company, which would be specially trained and called the Elvis Presley Company. The Air Force also had plans, hoping to use Elvis's immense popularity to boost their recruitment efforts. They were disappointed when he announced that he would not accept their special offers. His manager, Colonel Tom Parker, played a crucial role in convincing Elvis that serving in the Army as an ordinary soldier would ultimately benefit his career. Elvis understood the weight of his decision, knowing it would impact his image and relationship with his fans. It was a moment that showcased his rebellious spirit, as he chose to prioritize authenticity over fame. The choice was ultimately in Elvis's hands, and he embraced the challenge ahead. On the day of his induction, the colonel advised Elvis to stay a good boy and do nothing to embarrass his country. This was easier said than done, as the colonel took a significant gamble, but he was confident in his star's level-headedness. Elvis's induction had been deferred because he was busy shooting a film, King Creole. When the 24th of March 1958 arrived, Elvis's face was set with determination, and his strong jaw reflected his resolve. He dressed immaculately, embodying the spirit of someone ready for the army. In stark contrast to his air of confidence, his mother appeared as a nervous wreck. Her bright eyes were shadowed by dark circles, suggesting a sleepless night filled with worry. She looked as if she had cried, knowing her sweet boy was off to join the army. The emotional weight of the moment was palpable, as Elvis prepared to step into a new chapter of his life, leaving behind the world of music and fame for the discipline and challenges of military service. Elvis's mother had always been a fierce protector of her son, and her deep bond with him was evident throughout his life. The day Elvis was inducted into the army was a significant moment, not just for him, but for her as well. She had always been his anchor, and the thought of Uncle Sam taking him away weighed heavily on her. This separation was one of the factors that contributed to her declining health and eventual death. The day of the induction was highly publicized, and as Elvis stepped out of Graceland early that morning, the cameras were already flashing. His manager was there, capturing every moment as they made their way to the induction center in downtown Memphis. Once there, Elvis went through the routine checks, but one of the most notable changes was to his iconic hairstyle. The Army had strict regulations regarding hair length, and Elvis's beautifully styled hair had to be cut. Initially, he lost his beloved pompadour, which was a significant change for him. However, the Army later allowed him to keep his hair 3 centimeters above regulation, which provided some comfort. The transition from his signature look to a more military appearance was a challenge, but it was a part of his duty. The emotional toll of this day was profound, as it marked a turning point in both his life and his mother's, who had always been there to support him through thick and thin. After Elvis Presley landed at Fort Hood, Texas, he was assigned to the 2nd Armored Division, known as Hell on Wheels. His arrival at the base attracted a lot of media attention, which made it difficult for him to blend in as a regular soldier. Shortly after he took a nap, the Army fed him a sandwich, marking the beginning of his military life. He trained for 6 months, during which he was granted weekend leave. This time off allowed him to visit his mother, whose health had worsened since he left home. Elvis also received 2 weeks of leave, which he used to record 5 songs, showcasing his dedication to music even while serving. On August 14th, he was given an emergency-free day, which was crucial for him to be with his beloved mother during her final hours. Tragically, she passed away on August 16th, an event that left a profound impact on Elvis. The loss of his mother was one of the most gut-wrenching experiences of his life, shaping his emotional landscape during and after his time in the Army. During the burial of his friend Judy Spreckles, Elvis Presley experienced profound grief. He cried like a child, with tears flowing freely down his cheeks. Judy, who was present at the burial, remarked that she had never seen anyone as sad as Elvis. He cried continuously, and in a moment of deep sorrow, he stood in the front hall at Graceland, hugging Judy for half an hour, unable to contain his tears. It was a heartbreaking scene, one that left a lasting impression on those who witnessed it. Soon after this emotional event, Elvis returned to base, where he was set to be shipped overseas to Germany. He joined Company D of the 32nd Tank Battalion, part of the 3rd Armored Division, stationed in Friedberg for the remainder of his military duty. This deployment marked the only time Elvis traveled outside the United States in his life, as he never ventured beyond its borders except for 5 visits to Canada. The weight of his grief and the transition to military life were significant moments in his journey. Upon his deployment to Germany, Elvis Presley experienced a level of attention that was unusual for a new soldier. Typically, when a soldier arrives at a new post, it goes unnoticed, but Elvis's arrival was different. The press gathered in large numbers to interview him just 2 days after he landed. A journalist remarked that the press conference organized for Elvis resembled the kind of media event usually reserved for a sitting president of the United States. Trained in handling the press, Elvis, known as the King of Rock and Roll, maintained his composure even when faced with questions that seemed trivial or silly. His time in Germany was marked by moments that highlighted how he was not an ordinary soldier. While he performed his military duties with diligence, he also had to navigate the complexities of his stardom. Elvis followed the guidance of his manager, striving to be a good soldier, though he sometimes found it challenging to balance his celebrity status with military life. The influence of his fame was evident in how he was treated and how he interacted with both fellow soldiers and the media. His deployment was not just a military assignment. It was a unique chapter in the life of a man who had become a cultural icon, blending the worlds of music and military service in a way that few could understand. During his time in the military, Elvis Presley faced unique challenges that set him apart from his fellow soldiers. The only time he was put on guard duty, he was almost mobbed by fans, leading to a situation where other soldiers had to come to guard the guard. This unexpected attention frustrated Captain Russell, who was in charge of Elvis's company. The captain decided to reassign Elvis from his position as a driver to a scout platoon, hoping to reduce the spotlight on him. Despite the challenges, Elvis enjoyed his training at the base, particularly the parts that involved tank driving. However, the experience was bittersweet for him. He missed his family terribly, and made arrangements for them to join him in Germany. Unlike regular soldiers, Elvis had the means to live off base and rent different hotels. One of his brief stays was at Hotel Grunwald with his family, but he later secured a house. This house became a lively place, as there were parties almost every night when he returned home. The combination of military life and family gatherings created a unique chapter in Elvis's life, filled with both excitement and longing. During his time in the military, Elvis Presley experienced a unique social life that blended his musical talents with the challenges of being a soldier. There were often impromptu jam sessions where he would play music with fellow soldiers, creating a lively atmosphere that helped ease the tension of military life. Many girls were drawn to him, eager to be with the future king of pop, which added to the excitement surrounding his presence. Despite this attention, Elvis maintained a sense of privacy. His bodyguard, Lamar, noted that Elvis always kept his own world with him, creating a personal bubble that shielded him from the chaos around him. As an introverted child, Elvis relied heavily on his family for support, which helped him stay grounded. He often returned home for lunch, coming from the base to eat with his loved ones before heading back to fulfill his military duties. He was dedicated to his responsibilities and earned the respect of his fellow soldiers. Even though he enjoyed many privileges that others did not, he was generous, sharing his good fortune. He ensured that his comrades had extra fatigues, and even provided them with television sets to make their time more enjoyable. Additionally, he helped some of his fellow soldiers gain access to pet pills, showing his willingness to support those around him. This blend of music, generosity, and personal connections defined Elvis's social life during this period. The Army strategically utilized Elvis's presence during a special ceremony for the relocation of a stone memorial dedicated to World War I veterans. They aimed to create a powerful image by having Elvis pose with the stone, even though he did not participate in the actual carrying of it. This was a calculated move to use Elvis as a photo prop, showcasing him in a way that would resonate with the youth on the other side of the German wall. The Army believed that Elvis, with his rebellious image and hip-thrusting dance moves, could sway the minds of young people in East Germany. His popularity made him a symbol of American culture and a potential weapon in the ideological battle against the Soviets. This tactic generated tension between the United States and Eastern Germany, as the Soviets recognized Elvis as a threat. They understood that his influence could undermine their control over the youth, making him a significant figure in the cultural conflict of the time. The Eastern Germany defense minister recognized the significant threat that Elvis Presley posed to the youth of the time. They believed that Presley's music was a form of seduction, making young people more susceptible to the idea of atomic war. The Eastern Germans felt compelled to respond to the United States' use of Elvis as a cultural weapon. The Communist Party leader of East Germany at that time stated that it was not enough to simply reject what they called capitalist decadence with mere words. They needed to actively counter the ecstatic singing of someone like Presley. In response, East Germany attempted to create its own cultural phenomenon by developing a dance known as the Lipsy dance. However, this effort was largely in vain. The Lipsy dance failed to resonate with the people, who did not embrace it. Instead of becoming a popular dance, it became an object of mockery. The attempt to create a counter to Elvis's influence ultimately fell flat, highlighting the challenges faced by the Eastern German regime in their efforts to control cultural expression among the youth. During Elvis's military service, he found love in an unexpected place. It was there that he met Priscilla Beaulieu, a young woman who would later become his wife. Their relationship faced challenges, particularly due to their age difference, which led Elvis to court her for a longer period. Despite these challenges, their bond grew stronger, and they eventually tied the knot. When Elvis returned from his service, he was greeted with a hero's welcome by his adoring fans. They had missed him dearly, and were curious about his decision to serve in the military. Elvis explained that he felt a strong need to prove himself. He was aware that many people expected him to fail or to take the easy way out, but he was determined to show them, and himself that he could handle the responsibility. His time in the army was not easy, as he was not an average soldier, but he faced the challenges head-on. After his service, his career picked up right where he left off. Even with new acts emerging in the music scene, no one could replace the king. Elvis's military experience shaped him in many ways, both personally and professionally, and it played a significant role in his love life